April the 7th, and then Mom and Dad's home in Bolivar, and I want to ask them some questions about from the time they were married on, past then. So first of all, I wanted to know, how long did you go together before you got married?
I think we went together 13 times.
That was over a period of how long?
Oh, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months, do you reckon?
3 weeks. Talk louder, Mom, can't hear you.
Oh, no, we didn't go every night together.
Well,
I imagine about 2 or 3 months.
we went together on a Wednesday and on a Saturday night, and we went together 13 times, counting the night we got married.
So that would be 12, and you went together 3 times a week, so that'd be 4 weeks, and it'd be about a month. Then you went together.
No, Wednesday and Saturday, that'd just
Oh,
be 2 times
oh.
a week.
So it was about 6 weeks you went together. Let's see, you said that this man married you over north of,
South halfway.
south of halfway?
Yeah,
All right, and then you lived with your uncle?
just for a little
just
bit.
a few days.
And, okay, then where did you go after that?
We went back down where the Zelma folks lived.
They went to Washington.
They went to Washington, and we went, and so we stayed there.
You moved into their house?
Yeah,
They said we could live there if we just paid the taxes.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what we did until Barry got
Where was
sick
that? Wait, where was that?
at North of Human.
Okay,
on Barry and Bertie's farm.
all right. And you lived there until
We
when?
lived there until Barry got sick, and
It's in March.
well, we got to Washington on Easter.
Oh, he got sick out there and you went out
He
there?
had to have a stomach operation. He had ulcers.
Okay, just a minute, I'm going to come back to that. What did you do? Where did you work while you were living out on their farm, Dad?
I worked on the VA.
What did you do, though?
Well, I had a team of horses in, and so I worked them over there on the pond in the building down on Snook's Vest place, the building government pond,
Uh-huh.
you see, and it's still down there. And so I worked his horses, you know.
Okay, what did you do, Mom? Just kept house?
I just kept house and was lonesome.
Did you pick out any more walnuts?
No.
And just kept house?
Now and then, you see, we went to Washington, see, in March, on account of burning. We stayed out there that fall we come back.
What did you do about the house while you were gone?
Well, I believe Ronnie lived in it,
Yeah,
didn't
Roy and Eddie moved into it.
Where did you live then when you went out to Washington?
We, Barry and Bertie lived at Wapata, and we lived there with them for a little while. And then Ernest got a job on a dairy, and let's see, we had a 3-room house there, and then Barry and Bertie moved in with us. And that's during the meantime when he had his operation then.
I worked on there. We milked 300 cows, you see. Or 2 guys milked 300 cows in 8 hours. You see, and then,
Twice a day?
no, it would take 8 hours to milk 300 cows, 2 guys.
Uh-huh.
Then when they got them milked, 2 more guys would come on. And so they'd work 8 hours milk them. Then when they got them milked, there'd be 2 more guys come on. We milked them right around the clock. Every 8 hours, cows were milked. You see.
Uh-huh.
They claimed to gain a milking that way. And I got $60 a month. And I believe it was a gallon of milk a day, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got milk, but I couldn't stand the smell.
And the house furnished.
Because I was
Was that-
pregnant with you.
Was that good money then?
Well, it was pretty good money then. And
And you could just see the pheasants running around out. We lived kind of out in the field.
you see them out around the yard there. So this little way, you see, the government had a place where they hatch pheasants, and
Uh-huh.
you know they turn them loose, you know.
Would you kill them for
Oh no, I never did kill one.
He wasn't allowed to.
I wasn't allowed to, see.
Oh, okay. And then how long did you stay out in Washington?
Well, we stayed out there that summer and to come back that fall, late in the fall after fruit harvest.
What was that,
Oh,
November?
see, I worked there during hay harvest. Well, see, I worked on that dairy, and so the boss thought I was too ill with the cows, but I went to put the milker on one cow, and the cow behind me, she kicked me out from between them out there in the hallway, out there, and so I got up, walked in there again, started putting it on again. She kicked me out again, and so then that's when I let it on to her. And the boss happened to walk in the barn and see me, so he thought I was too ill. So he told me to work on the farm then, see.
Uh-huh. Were you glad?
Yeah, and so I worked on the farm then. You know, and then I was putting up hay, and we're just about done putting up hay, and so obviously I worked at Team Mules that nobody else could work out there. They couldn't get them to pull nothing. And at 11:30 we'd always unhook, you know, and we'd go feed the mules, and it'd take about 30 minutes to go plant the house, and you know, water your horses, you can tame and feed them, see. And so I unhooked one day, and he told me to hook them back up, said I was leaving too early, and I told him no, it was after 11:30 then. He said, well, you hook them back up, or you don't have no job when to come back at noon. And I said, well, you can just have your damn job then. I said, I don't want it if I can't, you know. And so I never did get. And so then, afternoon, I went up and got my check, see.
And is that when you came back?
No, so then we went to, we got a job over in the fruits, over there in Sela, California. And so
We lived in a tent, didn't we?
we went and bought a tent, a big tent, and the Bertha went with us.
That's when she left Barry.
That's when she left Bury.
The first time?
Well, they was separated
Well.
when we went to.
Well, this time anyway. And so she lived with us, and so that's where she met Charles Barker.
No, she met him when we moved to that other place in when we was picking hops on us. That's where she met him. When we first left that dairy, Ernest, why you picked prunes or something, don't you remember? And that's where we got the word that my granddad was dead.
I don't remember
It was
picking
in
prunes.
July, I think.
Which
I don't
granddad?
July bird song.
I don't remember picking prunes.
Yeah, them purple plums or whatever you call them. And I forget the name of that little one-horse place, but I know me and Bertie sat in that tent and peel them peaches, and she'd can them. And they was really good, you know, but we didn't get to bring hardly any of that fruit back with us because the trailer just kept breaking down, you know, and we had to sell it for all nothing.
How would you can stuff? What would you cook on it?
Well, we had some kind of an old stove thing made up.
I
on
bought a
that
little old stove they made that the guy had made out of car bodies. You know, this little old cook stove had an oven in it.
That's camping life, Delores.
You know, had a little oven in it and a stovepipe, and you'd burn wood in it, see, and you could make bread
And Bertie'd get up and make that bread.
and stuff like that, you know.
Did you have the stove sitting inside the tent?
Yeah, we,
Not all the time.
the part of the time, at night when it got cold, we did. When it began to get cool, you know, we did. And we had, there where we lived, there, Sela, on that ranch out in that orchard kind of, where we had our tent. You know, I thought we picked hops during the time between peacetime. Their whole lot.
We went to that other place first because that's where we got the word that Jim was dead.
Oh, but they had peaches on the ranch. You seen these gallon-sort buckets?
Uh-huh.
You could lay one on top of it with a lid, I wouldn't go down the bucket.
Oh,
Well, they was
no.
hay on peaches.
Yeah, biggest peach you ever seen in your life.
Well, I want to know more about this stove. Where would you get your wood to burn in it?
Oh, we get old pine knots and stuff like that, and off the ranch where we was at, they let them have, they'd always furnish us enough wood, you know.
Did
I mean,
it cook good?
yeah, cook pretty darn good. It's food.
And Bertie doesn't cook 'em.
But them peaches, they so big and thick you couldn't dry them.
See, I was
They're sour.
Oh.
Well, see, Bertie and Zelma they tried their best to dry them peaches, but it's too thick, you see, you know,
They're
when
just too big
they're
and
slicing them up, you know.
Uh-huh.
You know, they wouldn't dry at all.
Well, did you have a refrigerator,
No.
an ice box?
No, we didn't know what that was hardly then. We knew what an icebox was, but didn't have a refrigerator.
So you couldn't have any things like fresh milk?
Mm-mm.
No.
Just if you'd go to the store and buy it and drink it right up.
So whatever food you had, would you just buy enough for a meal at a time? Because you didn't have any way to keep it?
Ants, you know, would get into the stuff too.
Well, didn't you about go crazy living in a tent, 3 people?
I didn't
Oh,
know
that
much
wasn't too
about
bad, was it, Zelma?
No, I sort of.
Well, what did you sleep? Did you have cots to sleep on?
We had beds. Had a bed and a half.
A regular bed?
Yeah, and a piece of bed.
Well, now Bertie didn't. She slept. I don't know. She probably had a feather bed to sleep on, and then she had these apple boxes underneath.
Well, she had springs. Bed springs.
That must have been a big tent, though, to put a full-size bed in.
It is, I believe it was 14 or 16. It had 3-foot walls on it. for the tent, set up 3 foot off the ground, with walls on it, see. And I believe it was 14 to 16.
Wait a minute, what do you mean 3 foot? The walls were just 3 foot high?
Yeah, and then, you know, your roof come up like that, see.
Oh, but you could stand up straight in it.
Oh, you could stand up well next to the walls, you're pretty close to the walls,
Uh-huh.
you know.
It wasn't no small tent.
How long did you live in the tent?
Oh, I don't know. We just picked them apples and pears, and I never got so sick of anything all my life. Then one time we went out to pick the hops, and I got sick, and Ernest had gone on someplace else. And I wanted so bad to tell a man that was next to us, you know, that I'd give him my hops if he'd just take me home, and I was ashamed to lay down. That's when I was expecting you. But I just kept plugging away at it, and finally I got through the day.
How much did you get paid for picking hops?
Oh, you wouldn't get nothing hardly. Was
I
it
believe
penny a
it's-
pound?
I believe it's 7 3/4 on the last you got up to.
But my land is just like picking, snowflakes or something, you know, that's alive.
Uh-huh. Then you came back to Missouri in the fall. How come you come back to Missouri?
Well, see, we brought our fruit. We had Zelma had canned, her and Brother canned 100 and some quarts of fruit. And we put them in the trailer. I bought a trailer, see. And well, we started back to Missouri then.
Wait, what kind of car did you
I
have?
had a Buick.
During the meantime, she had married Charles Barker, though.
And so then she married Charles Rice before we started back a little while.
Uh-huh.
Well, so we started back and,
Him too?
Yes.
yeah, Barton, him and me and Zelma. And I was pulling that trailer, so we started around a curve, we was going down a curve down the highway, and I seen a wheel and a tire bounce over a fence and go down to a field down there. You know, just a bounce and hitting them little irrigating ditches, you know. And I looked back through my mirror, it was off of my trailer.
Couldn't you tell the way the car was pulling?
Not that big old heavy Buick, it didn't make much difference, this, you know. And so you didn't drive fast anyway, very fast then, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to get out and climb over that big high fence and go down and get that there wheel and tire, you know. Well, I put it back on, and so then we got it fixed up, you patched up, you know. So we started on up again, and then I believe it was that night, wasn't it?
I don't know what you're going to tell.
We was going down the mountain, you know, and the darn thing went off again, hitting an axle and all. You know, it made out the rear end of an old Star car, you know, and so the axle, you know, the axle on wheel all went down in the canyon of that mountain. And we didn't have much money anyway, see.
Uh-huh.
And so I pulled it over the side of the wide place where people have been pulling out parking, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so I pulled it over there, and so I believe stayed there the morning, and we went back to at their town. I don't know, I think about 15 miles back there.
But had to sit up in the car, Delores. Everything was just crammed to me, expecting you.
And so I went into a cafe and asked that guy at the cafe if he wanted to buy some good canned fruit. It's already sweetened and everything, you know.
Uh-huh.
All the big spray peaches in big mouth jars, you know. And everything, you know. He asked what I want for it, and I said 15 cents a quart. You know, and so he took all we had.
Well, did you make any money off of it at 15 cents a quart even?
No, you couldn't, I don't imagine you. Well, we got a piece to give to us, of course.
By the time you bought your jars and your sugar?
We might have made a little bit, but it would have been worth a lot more to eat,
Yeah.
you know, but we
Yeah.
couldn't get back here with it.
Well, what, did you have to leave the trailer there?
And so I unloaded the trailer and tied what stuff I had on it. You have to throw the fruit out
Mhm.
onto the car. See, they used to have running boards. We had a running board where you could not open the door
Yeah.
on 'em, you know.
And had stuff crammed in the car besides.
Yeah, and on
you know,
top of the
crowd.
car, we had it on top of the car and everything. And so when we got it all loaded on, we just pulled them out the old trailer there.
Well, what happened? Where was Barry?
Well, him and Bernice stayed back behind.
And didn't they go to California more than did
They eventually went to California and stayed a while. And then, then after you was born, right away after you was born, I believe it was in January maybe, they come back, and then they stayed with me and Ernest and you for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, whenever you got back here, where did you live? Where did you go?
On Lily Vesta's place.
No, we lived right after where you was born down here.
Yeah, in Huron at first.
Oh. Did you rent that place?
Yeah, $3 a month for it, I believe it was.
Where did you work?
Oh, I just worked where I could. My here and there.
Just did odd jobs?
Yeah.
We really had a hard time, I can tell you that.
Did
But-
you have a doctor with you whenever I was born?
Yeah, McCraw.
Oh, but then some when we lived on Buzz and Burry's place, see, I used to work for Francis Stewart, you see, and I believe it's 75 cents a day what I got then. And so it was just about 4 miles or a little over up at his place, you know. Well, I'd walk up there to work, see, and I'd start work at 7, and then work at 6 of the night, and then walk back home. Now then sometimes I'd come around to the store through here, which made it about a third further more ground, you know. And then I'd buy a 100-pound sack of dairy feed, throw it on my shoulder, and carry it home.
For the cow that Bertha gave you, is that it?
Yeah. Oh,
No, we didn't have the cow then, Ernest.
well, that was 4 miles and 3/10.
Ernest, we didn't have the cow then. Remember, we
Well, we
sold
did
it
when
to go to Washington.
Well, that was before we went to Washington then.
Well, might have been, but it wasn't after we got back. We had no cow.
Well, I don't know whether after we got back or not.
And before we even went to Washington, see, we even had some chickens. We was set up pretty good if it hadn't been for having to go to Washington.
Well, why did you have to go out there?
On account of Burry, they thought he was going to die. See,
Oh.
he passed out, and they thought he was dead for a long time even.
Oh,
And he was bad. See, after they operated even on him when he bursted open, had that cloud flesh or proud flesh, whatever you call it. And they had to sew him up again. And I didn't just go too much to see him. I was sick as a dog. I couldn't hardly raise my head up off the pillow.
well, whenever you were expecting me, did the doctor tell you I'd probably be born around the end of December?
See, I didn't even go to a doctor. Delores it was almost time for you to be born. And then we went in order so we could, of course, would have a doctor. He said, I'll be Santa Claus at your house Christmas.
Oh, so he set the time pretty good.
Yeah.
Did Dad go after the doctor?
No, he went, see, we lived there in Huron, and didn't Orrin and them have a phone?
No, I think we went down Ernest Bean's coat.
Anyway, he called. McCraw made 2 trips out there because they was having a Christmas supper, and see, called him too soon. He come out and, of course, examined me and everything, and didn't think, you know, you'd be born for quite a while, but he'd give me some medicine, but it didn't work, you know, and I kept getting worse and everything, so they called him again. He was born then, he come then, and wasn't too awful long then. When he come the last time, he was born just a few minutes then.
Was
You know,
anyone else there but Dad?
Oh, Bertie was there, and Bertie was there, and Miss Milner,
Well, my mother there with us.
and Ori was there, but the doctor sent her home and give her some medicine on account of she's having something wrong with her heart. And
Good
he
grief,
didn't
you
think
had a
she ought to be
house full.
there. While there's just people coming in and out there.
Where did you get to see me be born?
Yeah,
You got to watch the birth?
yeah.
And the next day, there was 40 people come to see me
Good grief.
in that little one-horse town.
Relatives or what?
Well,
Just people
everybody.
you knew?
Yeah,
Okay.
people used to kind of be concerned about people like that, see. You know, not like anymore, they don't think anymore about it. And if an old dog go here and have a bunch of folks, you know.
Well, who did you name me after?
Well, I named you after my second cousin, Delores, that lived in Nebraska, and Ernest wanted you named after that Miss Miller's granddaughter.
She and Miss Mother always pretty good to help us, you know, around, you know. And everything lived right next door to us, so.
What was their granddaughter's name?
Adeline,
Adeline, but what was the other? I don't remember.
Tootsie. What they call her, Tootsie. Payne, see. She's Isaac Payne's
Girl.
daughter.
Okay, so then what, did you get to have any Christmas at all that year?
Well, Roy and Adie was there at our house for dinner that day, Christmas, and I was sick. See, I got sick on Christmas Eve. I was sick that night, and I was sick then all day Christmas, and I tried to stir up a cake and try to fix, I can't remember what all we had, but I fixed a Christmas dinner.
Or was I born Christmas night then? But what time, do you remember?
You just got there and just in time for it to be called Christmas.
It was after 11, between 11 and 12.
Oh. Okay, then, how long did you live in that house where I was born?
Oh, I don't remember now. Then we went up, moved to to the Lily Vest place, though.
I never did like it there in here.
And that's where Phyllis was born.
Where's this? I don't know.
It was on
It
down,
was down north, east of Huron.
not very far from here, but
On out that road?
You know where Huron Church is out there?
Yeah.
Well, it's right north of it down there to where that road makes the bend. It's just about a mile down there.
How come you to move there?
'cause I wanted to.
Oh, we had to get out, you know, out there. And that's the coldest house you ever lived in.
Oh, the house where I was born was cold?
No, where Phyllis was born.
Oh, well, how come you moved from where I was born over to where Phyllis was?
Well, it was a little bigger house. It had upstairs, had big rooms in it. That where you was born, it wasn't very big, you know. It's still there, you know, in here.
It was just 2 rooms.
And that's the coldest house. I used to, well, I got up at, in the wee hours of the morning, go down and get wood. We'd run out of wood every night. You know, go down the woods and chop wood and carry it up to be able to keep warm with.
Well, when Phyllis was born, what kind of work were you doing?
Was I on WPA then?
I don't remember.
Well, I got back on WPA and I went to come back to Washington finally.
Must have been. It was such hard times. I don't know.
Hard times, you mean? You didn't have much to eat? What?
No, we didn't have very much to eat. I made chocolate pies out of just milk and not even used any eggs and didn't even put anything, you know, on the top of them, any kind of a topping.
What did you have for meat? Things Dad had
Fat back
said?
mostly.
Well, they would buy fat back, and I did a lot of squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting, stuff like that, you know. And all this ordinary stuff.
When Phyllis was she born in a house like I was in? Did the doctor come out?
Yeah. They was a doctor come out with all 3, with you and Phyllis and Hazel. And Rita was the only one where I went to the hospital.
Were you as sick with Phyllis as you were with me?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you watch Phyllis be born too?
Yes, he
Yeah.
did, and he did Hazel too. I had an easier time with Hazel than any of them.
Well, after Phyllis was born then, and you lived in that house, then where did you go? Or did
We
you stay in that
moved to Bolivar when Phyllis was about 2 months old.
Why?
And our boys moved with us.
Well, Ernest got a job up here at the welfare office, and he worked at the ice plant.
Well, they transferred me from there to, I was handing out commodities up here, off of WPA to up here town. And so then I went to work there, and of course then I got a chance to go to work at the ice plant, and I was working at the ice plant and up there both.
And that's during the time that Bertie married Bob Colbert. Was when we
And
right
he
away.
lived across the street over there? Did they live across the street over
No, not then.
And we live over there in the damn farmer place, apartment.
On East Chestnut
Oh.
Street, over there close to Butler's funeral home.
there? Oh, I didn't know that you lived over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then I went to work at the ice plant, you know, overnight down there, and then I work up there every daytime. They hand out commodities. So they told me I had to quit one of the jobs.
Why?
The government did. I couldn't hold 2 jobs down.
You making too much money, you mean?
Yeah, making too much money.
And he
Well,
wasn't.
let's see, I think I was at the ice plant, I believe I was making 15 cents an hour then. You see?
What did you do?
I was pulling ice. I pulled ice down there. You know, my part of the ice, you know, it's like an ordinary shift guy would do. I pulled that. Then I will pour the milk over the cooler. And I delivered ice and ice cream up town, go to the stores. You know, like cafes of a night, you know, and stuff like that. And chocolate milk, you know, the cafe, that was in when they had it. And they had ice cream bars and everything. But we made our own ice cream down there, see. And so maybe I'd run some ice cream mix that night or something, you know, 2 in between times. And then I'd sell ice on the docks down there.
Which job did you quit?
I quit the government job.
What, did you and Dad ever go out or have fun or anything?
Yeah, we went to the show a lot.
What, was it cheap? Or how come you went to the show?
Well-
You said times were hard.
Didn't we pick out some walnuts? We did, didn't we, up there at that Lynn Farmer place, 'cause I remember them holes.
Yeah, I think so.
We'd pick out walnuts and sell them, and then we would go to the show. I used to be so crazy over them murder stories, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And every time there'd be a good one on, nearly, why, we'd go, and Ernest would carry 2 bottles of milk.
Oh, you'd take the kids?
Well, I mean, that was after I had Hazel, you know. Well, yes, we had to take you kids every place.
Yeah, you know that. We lived over that time, you know, when that I set you up in front of me next to the house where you could see in the seat, you know, about where you could watch the show,
Uh-huh.
you know. And so I was watching the show like I watch TV. I don't know if anything else hardly, you know. And Zelma pecked me on the shoulder, arm one. And she said, "Did you see that woman?" I said, "That's what woman?" She said, that's the one come in. She had Delores move over another seat and said, you know, like I said, she sat down there where Delores is. You know, you wasn't very big, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I said no, and I looked up there, you know, and there she sat where you was, and you was sitting over there where you couldn't see very good, see. I just pecked her on the shoulder, you know, and I said, how come you get that little girl up and move? I said, I'm there. She said, I thought that I would have to walk in front of her or something like that, you know. I said, I had her sitting there where she could see. I said, you get your ass up from there. I said, but I let her sit back down there.
Ernest, I wish you didn't say.
And
Oh, that's the way he talks.
and so she did.
Probably scared her to death.
Well, she had not been down there yet, I guess.
Well, did you do anything else besides go to shows?
That's all I done.
That's all there was about doing, you know.
Did you go out? Did you have
I read
another?
detective stories.
Did you have another couple that you were friends with? Nobody
No,
else?
nobody.
We never did. I mean, do anything like that much.
Huh. Well, so then you lived over in those apartments. Well, then when did you move from there?
We moved from there over on Maupin Street, East Maupin.
And that's when I got pregnant with Hazel and was sick as a dog. And we didn't live there too long. I never did like that place and had to pay so much rent. You know, we couldn't make it over there. He wasn't making enough money. And that's when Arthur and Ori come up there to stay all night with us. And I suppose Mildred did too, because I don't know what they would have done, but I can't seem to remember. And anyway, Arthur went with Ernest. Was you working at the ice plant then?
I think so.
Down there, and left Ori sitting up in the wheelchair, and she got tired and decided she wanted to get back in bed. So I said, well, I think I can help you back in bed, and we both got tickled, and I thought sure that she was going to get down in the floor. But finally, I got her back, you know, I don't know whether I got her back up in the chair or back up in the bed.
I thought you both finally got on the floor.
Well, we almost did,
I thought
because
you
I
did.
wasn't very big. See,
You
I
got
used
tickled,
to
both of them got
weigh
tickled, you know.
106-pound Delores. I never weighed any more than 106 pounds until after I had Rita. I mean, I had Hazel, and I just weighed 106 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got pregnant with Rita, that's when I began getting fatter.
Well, was Hazel born on Maupin Street?
No,
No, she's
we
born
moved
out
back
down here
to we moved back
West
to
Broadway. Yes,
I
she
mean,
was.
Oh yeah, but we moved back to the Lynn Farmer place
Yeah.
first, and then we got this house over on West Broadway. You know,
Yeah, we
Doc
give-
Lynn's house.
It's either 7 or 7.5 months for that.
7.5.
Now, is that the one where Ruby Sennett lived back behind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a trailer park there now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then now that's when we lived there that I can kind of remember. Did you used to bring chocolate milk that had ice crystals in it?
And
Yeah.
Bertie did too.
Yeah, I worked
Okay.
at Ice
Bertie
Plant,
worked
see.
at the ice plant too.
All right. And well, then who did Berthy live across the street over there?
Over across the street in that little one-room house, you know, is Ross' sister's house.
No, I just seems like did just
Yeah.
Berthy and Bernice live
Uh-huh.
there?
I think that little house that she lived in was kind of made for a wash house, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I mean,
There's
come
one
have washing
room.
machines in there, you know what?
Hmm. Well, now was that before she met? Right whenever she met Sil?
That was after her and Bob separated.
Well, her and that Bob
So that
Cole
must have been.
separated,
Yeah.
and she come there and stayed at our house a little bit before she got that house, because Ray Pendergrafe and Bertie did live in that little house, and she had to wait until they could get out, you know, move out, and then when they moved out, and then her and Bernice then moved over there.
What did she do? How did she live? What did she have for money
Picked up walnuts.
for her and Bernice's
Mhm.
living? Okay.
the woman told me, she said that they would like to help, but said they couldn't. Said that Barry said that he supported Bernice.
Did he?
Not all. Bernice would go there and visit with him, but he didn't pay no money.
Uh-huh. Okay, back to now. Hazel was born there in that little house.
Yeah.
And did you had a doctor then?
Yeah.
And you got to watch that birth too?
Well, they didn't get to watch much of it. She's too quick with it.
I wasn't too quick. I was sick. John and Maud
I was
there.
out trying to find a darn doctor.
Uh-huh.
Well,
One had it
Barry
in
was-
Springfield, see? One
Barry
supposed
was
to come,
with him.
you know, and I was trying to find a doctor.
Wasn't Barry with you?
No, I don't think so then.
Yeah, Barry was. You was both kind of running up the street, wasn't you?
I didn't think so, but I don't know what you say. I guess you're
Yeah,
right.
I
don't
think
know.
so.
Was anyone there at the house with you? Where were us kids? Phyllis and
Ernest had tucked him over to Bertie's.
Oh.
Now, she wasn't living then over across the street. She was still living with Bob Covert, because I remember her sending me strawberry shortcake. And she lived over down there, you know, by where Paul Robinson's mother lived. Over there.
Yeah, that's what.
Down
Yeah.
there by the locker plant.
Yeah.
Well, was there anyone with you while Dad was looking for the doctor?
Well, who in the world was with me?
Ruby?
Nellie, I guess, was with me. Now, was Nellie with me?
I don't know who was.
Minnie was there. And John and Maud was there, and they seen I was so nervous, I was so disgusted. That's why Ernest thought I didn't suffer very much. But you see, they was there, and I didn't want to take on or anything in front of them. They just sat there making old dolls, and finally they left.
Making dolls.
Well, I mean, they'd make up dolls somehow or another and sew on them, you know.
Oh. Uh-huh.
But anyway, they left, and they went to get a doctor, and my doctor, he was in Springfield, Dr. Hannon. And so they got Dr. Bridges, and
Well, we waited long as we could.
just as Dr. Bridges drove up and was reaching in to get his bag out, why, Dr. Hannon drove up, and I sure was glad.
So what did Dr. Bridges leave in?
He didn't even come in.
He didn't even charge us either.
And Dr. Hannon didn't even have time to do nothing hardly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to
Didn't
ask
give me no medicine. I had Hazel natural.
I wanted to ask you before I forget it. Who did you name Phyllis after?
I named Phyllis after a girl that I listened to over the radio, a story.
Phyllis Alfreda both?
Well, I don't know about the Alfreda part. I can't hardly remember about that, but Phyllis was after that girl.
Do you remember about Alfreda then?
No, I don't know.
No, that's such an odd name.
It was probably over something I'd heard over the radio.
How about Hazel then? Who did you name her after?
Well, I named Hazel after my second cousin that's in California, and the Ramona part was after a doctor's girl that I used to play with in California. She had long, dark, curly hair.
Then after Hazel was born, how long did you stay in that house, or where did you go from there?
Well, I went to California with Barry and Minnie.
And left us, and you got behind the door, and Ernest said, "Bye, honey," or "Bye, sweetie," or something like that to you. And you settled up, and you said, "Don't call me that. My name's Adeline Delores."
How old was I when you left?
Well, Hazel was born. She's just a baby.
Hazel
She's
was
still a
just
baby.
6 months old.
And then Eunice
About
come
4
out
years
there.
old then, 4 or
Oh,
5 years
no.
She
old.
says, "Don't call me," whatever that was.
She didn't-
She says, "My name's
I
Adeline
went out there,
Delores."
see him, and then I finally got a house, and Zelma would come out there. I mean, you all come out there then.
Well, why did you go to California?
Well, it wasn't doing any good here. Seemed like going in the hole all the time,
We owed everybody.
you know.
Uh-huh.
Milkman.
Were you still working at the ice cream plant?
I believe it was, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I worked there about 4 different times.
Uh-huh.
Then I couldn't go to California.
Well, was Barry still married to Minnie when you went to California?
Yeah?
And he
They
left
was
her
out
back
there.
here?
No,
They
he went
was
too.
out there.
No, he went too.
They went out there.
Oh, Barry and Minnie went out there?
Yeah.
And Ernest went with them.
And I went with him.
Oh. Why did they go out there? Were they in the hole too?
Oh, Barry
Oh,
just went
oh, I know. He just went out. See, Uncle Frank was back here that summer. You know, so he thought I might get a job out there, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I think they paid 30 cents an hour then out there. if I remember right.
Mhm.
And so that's how come me to go, see.
Did you leave money with Mom, or how did you make it while he was out there?
Well,
Well, she
we
didn't
had
hardly make it, I
tough
mean.
time. If it hadn't been for Bertha, I don't know what we would have done, Delores. She would, I'll tell you, you would have to sit and hold Hazel on your lap while I would pick out walnuts. We owed a $30 grocery bill up there to Dewey Barnes. He run a store then up there above that hotel where it used to be.
Uh-huh.
And I just hated to go, you know, and keep charging things, and we just done on as little as we could.
Well, see, I went and seen Dewey before I left though about it, said. He said, all right.
And he
Go
also seen the milkman, but the milkman would stand on the door and wait until I'd get a letter from Ernest. I mean, when he'd know, you know, I got a letter from Ernest, the mail carrier would be there, you know, maybe with a letter, and the milkman would be there too. And he had asked me if I'd got a letter from Ernest, and he'd stand there, and I opened it up to see if Ernest had sent me any money, and Ernest hadn't. And I told that milkman, I said, well, Ernest said that, was it Leonard Mass that told you? That I could get 2 quarts of milk a day. I said, I've got 2 babies that's on the bottom. And I said, they've got to have milk. And he said, well, I was just telling you know about us on so much milk bill. And I said, well, I can't get by. He said, can't you get by on less? And I said, no, I can't.
Did you still live there on,
There in Doc Williams' house.
okay, then how long was it before you sent for Mom? Or did you send for her, or did you come back
I
later?
wrote
Yeah.
and told him I was coming.
And
He
she
gave
went
me the money.
with John and
Oh.
his wife out there.
And
the
all
dog.
those dogs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time I'd
You
get a
remember
letter
it?
from Ernest, he'd say he didn't
I
have
don't
a
know if I
job.
remember it or if I remember you telling about it. I don't know which it is.
He'd say he didn't have a job, you know.
I didn't
and
have a
wondered
steady
why.
job then,
Who
too.
were you living with?
With Uncle Frank.
Where'd Barry and Minnie go?
They come back here.
Oh, they went down there.
And I thought Ernest would come back with them. But he
I
didn't.
forget someplace there. You know, they're in California. I
They
forget
let
the
you out
state.
at your Uncle Frank's?
Yeah.
Oceanside's where they went and lived with Gertie and Ernie.
And so I stayed up there and I'd get this little work down there, but not much, you know. In the wintertime, you know, kind of, you know. Then, and so I had to pay board too, see there. You know, at Uncle Frank's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I even got behind there, didn't have enough work, you know.
And you see, Hazel was sick. And,
What was she sick with?
well, throwing up her milk, she needed vitamins.
Mm.
And Smith said that she thought she needed an operation on her stomach. Probably a tube, you know, was stopped up. And the milk would just go out like that. And I'd have to change the bed and change her. She was sick when Ernest left, but she got worse. And the only person that offered to take me to Springfield was Tommy and Eva. None of the rest of the folks offered to do a thing for me.
To take you to Springfield for what? The doctor?
To see the doctor.
Oh.
Smith said I should go see a specialist.
Mm-hmm. Did you then?
No, I went to Dr. Hannon.
Mm-hmm.
Happened to think about him and went to him. He said that baby needs vitamins. And he gave me a big bottle of dark-looking medicine, and he told me, you know, how much to put in each bottle of milk. It's drops, I think. Put it in there, and she started getting all right.
Well, how old was Hazel then whenever you went to California?
11 months.
11 months. And then Phyllis was 14. Phyllis was just 2.
And I had to hold Hazel on my lap
Okay.
all the way, and my legs was just raw where she had wet on me.
What'd you do about food on the way out there? They drive her right straight through?
We took a cabin one night. And, well, I mostly would buy stuff out of the grocery store because Ernest didn't send me enough money to where I could buy milk, you know, and eat in a cafe too. And you kids wouldn't eat nothing. I tried it once and got hamburgers, you know, and you wouldn't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
So you seem to eat stuff out of the store better.
Like
Lunch
what?
meat and stuff like
Oh.
that. So,
Mhm. Then they just stayed at a motel one night, and the rest of the time it's just driving
well,
straight through?
they kind of wanted to take a motel that last night, but we was at Barstow. And I said, let's go. I said, what do you think? I said, are you pretty tired? I said, I'm tired, but let's drive on. I said, I'd like to get there. Boy, I was suffering. My
Yeah, I had a
legs
house
was
ready
hurting.
and everything when we got.
Oh, So they took you to the house where Dad was?
Yeah, and they stayed all night too. And then they went on then at the ocean side.
Did you have a job then, Dad?
Yeah, I was my work packing house.
And then how long were you doing that?
Well, then after she got out there, let's see, was I painting in then?
I don't remember what she was doing.
Well, I worked, see, I hadn't done 2 jobs there then.
He
Seemed like
was,
what I could, I'd hold down 2 jobs.
he
every
was
chance I
paying
got.
quite a bit though for this house, and so we found a cheaper place to live that I
And-
liked better.
Well, I was just working night and day, trying to make all the good, trying to make a living,
Mm-hmm.
And then Zelma said, let's see, I believe that's where I'd go to work at midnight, wasn't it?
I think so.
And you'd wake me up of a midnight if we had the alarm set, And I'd wake up and go to work at midnight. So work, then I'd work over there till 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd go to work on my other job.
At 8 o'clock?
Well, this as soon as I'd get around.
And work until what time?
Well, I work till 5, see, in the afternoon, see.
Well, what'd you think about all that?
Hey,
Well, here you had all the kids and he was working all the time. Didn't you get discouraged? What did you do?
well, sure I got discouraged a lot, Delores.
Well, we had to have the money,
Yeah.
Well, then we decided that we'd come back here then again. So,
We decided. I think you was the one who decided.
so I bought an old car and give $25 for it,
What kind?
28 Chevrolet, and I had to overhaul it before we started back. So I put rings in it and ground the valves and tightened the rods and the mains. And we got ready and we started back to Missouri.
Well, why did you decide to come back, though?
Crazy, I guess.
He had a job.
Oh.
I mean, he had one out there.
No,
Yeah, you did.
I'd had a job, but it wasn't what I wanted. They was going to take me off from the night watching job because I was one of the last one on, and to put to work of a daytime in the packing house. And I didn't want it in the packing house of a daytime. And so that's how I come at.
So you got that old car fixed up?
Yeah, fixed that old car up, and it seemed to me like we had the $25 or $26 when we started back.
Now then, Delores, you know why.
Well, was
I
that
like to be independent, don't you?
was that a lot of money then, though?
Well, it cost us, for gas, and I changed all once on it. I never will forget what it cost us. It cost us $13 and 34 cents for gas and oil. That old car. And we got by all right.
Did you stay in a motel at night?
No, we just kept
No.
driving.
Oh, you drove straight through?
Driving, I drove right straight on through, and I got stopped on this side of Oklahoma City. They asked me if I was drunk or something, because the car is,
Well, I drove part of the time, too.
and I told them no, and I said it's the old car, and well, I tried to find out there, what's wrong with, before we hauled it, see.
You was sleepy,
It
too,
was
Ernest.
kind of road crazy, see.
Uh-huh.
And everything, couldn't find out what's wrong with it. They couldn't, and so I told them cops, I said, no, there's something that kind of makes that turn they want to wobble, I said, hard to drive, and I said, I've had it in the garden, they couldn't find out what it was. And they said, well, you're kind of sleepy, you better get some rest. And see, I've been driving a whole lot, see, and since Zelma drove, of course I drove most of it. So we finally come on home,
Well, did you get some rest?
and,
Did you, after they said you should get some rest?
well, I
did
think after we got back home we did.
Yeah, but
we
you
got-
didn't stop and sleep then or anything?
I
or
don't think we
nothing
did,
like
Zelma.
I was thinking you kind of pulled off the side of the road for a while. They told you to.
Oh, then after I got back here, I found out what was wrong with.
that? What was wrong with it?
Well, under your front springs of them old Chevrolets, they had a wedge shape under there, and somebody put them 2 things in backwards,
Uh-huh.
and them guys never could find it. And of course, I mean, they never thought about anything like that. I know, because I didn't either, see, but I happened to notice it. But them darn things in backwards, it was slanting your axle the wrong way.
But
Yeah.
Delores, let me say this. You kids never did ask for nothing like your kids does, or Phyllis's, or...
No, we could take you and
Never asked for nothing.
Phyllis and Hazel down the store, and you never asked for nothing. You wasn't like Rita, Rita, she'd always ask for something, I mean, she was, there's so much different ages and everything, she was kind of spoiled, and And she's used to more than you kid was, you know.
We never had no money anyway.
And-
Even
and
when
she
we
always
went to
has been,
show,
you
we
know.
couldn't buy popcorn.
But that's the way it is anymore, I guess, you know.
Well, whenever you came back here that time, what did you go to? Did you have a house back here?
Well, let me think. What did we
Oh,
do?
we went to Barry Minnie's, and they was living there on West Broadway in that house. Don't
Oh.
you know when I went out?
Oh, yeah, they lived in our furniture. They used our furniture there.
And then he went to
Oh.
Brighton
No, they-
on a farm.
Oh, we had the house ready, so we let them take it over there. And so then he moved our furniture in over here to storage of John Wynn's. They was using some of our stuff.
Uh-huh.
You see, so we got our house back there, I think, didn't we? And we stayed there for a while, and so I got a job out there at Brighton on farming and dairy life.
And that's where I got the recipe for them oatmeal cookies.
Oh, and you lived on a farm at Brighton, or did you?
Yeah, from Doc Tuck. He's a veterinary at the Stockyard Springfield.
What did you do there?
Oh, I just done farm work there.
Uh-huh.
I never did like it there.
They had a dairy there, you know. This small dairy would be now.
Uh-huh.
But his girls and boys milked. And his boy milked the cows. I didn't have to have milk or nothing like that.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how long we stayed there. We didn't stay. Didn't you stay a year, did we?
No,
Was I in school then?
No.
Oh, till I found something else.
We went back out to California.
No, from there? No, we didn't from there, did we?
Well, where did Delores, when was it that Delores started school up there at Highlands?
I know, 43.
Well, where did you go from that farm at Brighton?
I think I come back down here.
Well, where did we live?
We had a cow then, didn't we? We had a little Jersey cow.
Oh, we lived up there on Lillian Street. Moved up there.
Where we could look out the back and see the
Bonding game.
yeah, and that horse race they had,
Yeah.
horse show, whatever it was. Uh-huh. I can kind of remember that, I think.
And I'd cook beans about every Saturday, and Bernice would come to town and think that was such a treat to eat that cornbread and beans and onions.
Where did you work then, Dad?
I worked the ice plant. Then.
Oh, again?
Yeah, again. So then
Well, did you own that house? Did you own
No, ever served on that house.
rented?
Ever served on
First
that.
house we ever owned back here, Delores, right over here at the coke plant.
Oh,
From there to West Broadway. You know, the
Uh-huh.
house you didn't like, and then here.
well, did you stay in that house over by the school very long? High school very long?
I don't remember, do you?
Where's that at?
About a year, I guess, then over there by Ever Sher's place, where we had the cow.
Oh, I can't remember. I said the first place we ever owned. No, we owned at a place there in California, there in Santa Palma. We bought a place, of course, old first, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then sold it.
But that's the time then, you know, when we went to California, that Dodge.
After you left this house?
Yeah.
Over by the school?
Yeah, we went, yeah.
Why, how come you went back to California again?
It's a great land.
Well, I don't know, we just had that in our blood, I guess.
Too bad he
You
can't
know,
do it in there
To go back
again.
and forth?
And so Mildred Barker, she went with us that time.
Now, who's Mildred Barker?
That's my cousin. That's Mom's girl.
Okay.
And so, on the way out there's a rod went out of that old Dodge cylinder. I mean, a 6-cylinder car, Dodge. You know, and so of course we had some bacon and stuff along with it, and so I couldn't find no rod for it, you know. And so I took a bacon rind. I'll cut the rind off a bacon, put in there for me a babbitt on the inside of that rod, you know, and we drove it on. We was doing pretty good. We got along over there before we got to the inspection place over there before we got to Barstow. I think I was running pretty good, so I just speed up a little bit, you know. And I speeded up, and that rod went out of it, and the piston busted, and I knocked a hole in the block, I knocked a hole in the oil pan.
Were you in
And-
the desert then?
Yeah, and of course I always kept my tool with me, so I crawled out of there and underneath, took the oil pan off and took the piston and the rod out, and threw it out there in the ditch and patched the oil pan, and put it back on, took the spark plug wire off that plug, you know,
And you
That
ran it on
cylinder.
5 cylinders.
and that made a 5-cylinder. It had to stand in the backer can up the side of the block with that the chunk knocked out of the block that was keep the oil in, you know. And so then we got on
You had a
there.
worse life, Delores, than I ever had when I was growing up.
So then we got on down the Barstow there, and to Mildred Barker, she's going to catch a bus to go out. See, her husband was in the army out there, and she's going to see him. See, so we was going over to Bakersfield. That's how much Fresno. See, and so then we got on to over there to my hallway, and so we was going up the mountain there, and another rod went out of that motor.
Good grief.
And so, also I just got out then and just took the spark plug off the cell, found out which one it was.
Yeah.
You know, and then that didn't throw no pressure on it, see.
Yeah.
So this drove it on 4-cylinder then.
It took two of us to start the car.
And we'll talk about the San Vivas dash. Now that thing would do it, and don't think good when you get a little speed, you know, about 25 or 30 mile an hour, she'd start shaking all over, you know.
Uh-huh. Saved you on your gas though, didn't it?
Well, I don't know. It took you a long time to get there. And so we drove that thing for I don't know how long after we got out there.
On 4 cylinders.
Well, when we was at Fresno, and well, I'd have to do something. I don't know what it was in the inside, and he'd get out and crank it.
I'd get out and she'd hold her foot down on the foot pedal, you know.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes hold down the 2-4, you know. And so I get it and I'd crank it, he'd start. That thing would just start shaking all over and making all this noise, you know.
So it
And the
hurt.
people up and down the street just look up and down the other. I guess I thought somebody was thrashing, maybe. But it is shaking. That's the shaking thing I've ever seen.
Delores, that wasn't very funny.
Not then, but it is now. Where did you go to whenever you went? Did you have a house to go to?
No, I was staying in a cabin. I got me a job from the soil, from the U.S. soil outfit where you inspect the soil for dams and stuff, you know. And so
He says that's the best job he ever had in his life.
Now, where were you? Were you at Fresno then?
yeah.
Okay.
So we lived in a little cabin there. You know, we had enough money to rent the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I got that job, you know, down there. It was a pretty good job, wasn't it, Zelma?
Yeah, I don't know what the
And,
but it's pretty good.
I worked down there a week, and I didn't get no check, you know. And so I thought, well, they're paying 2 weeks, you know. Well, we're running out of money, see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in 2 weeks, you know. We didn't have nothing to eat with or nothing, see.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them when we were going to get a check. They said once a month. You know, because we spent so much money on the trip, you know, getting there, you
Yeah.
know. And so I went and over to the landlord and told him that that I'd like to have some of the money back that I didn't get paid, that we'd had nothing to eat, that I need some grocery money,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I said, they don't pay my work until only once a month. Now that guy that run that there old trucker that owned it, I said, he's from back here in Missouri. His name is Delores, you
Mm-hmm.
see. And I believe they give him $35 a month, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
You know, for that trailer
I
lights and
didn't pay
everything
too much
furnished.
attention to things then, like I do now.
And so, like, he let me have some of it back, see.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And, well, he's just a good old Missourian, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And until I got my check. And so I worked with them there. So they want me to go with them. You know, they told me, well, see, I was using I forget what kind of hammer it was, it weighed 60 pounds. You know. And I'll take a sample of the soil, you know, when it changed, and I'd
Well,
put
I've
some
got
in
the
the
one
sack.
of the sacks, you know, that I keep the pictures in.
Uh-huh.
One of them canvas sacks.
And well, they want me to go with them, and I told them I couldn't hardly. And,
Go with him where, Dad?
well, they was going from there out to the edge of California and
Did you
Nevada.
put that cigarette lighter up? I
You know.
didn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
After on another job, they told me that I wouldn't have to do any work. All I had to do was just boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of them there. Well, I can't think of the name of that hammer now. And it what the hammer was. It's a big piece of iron about that big around, and it was about that long and had a rod to it, and had a rod sticking out through the bottom of it. And it weighed 60 pounds, and we drove 3/4 inch pipe in the ground. And this rod here at the bottom would go into your pipe, and so I take that hammer there and raise it up and bring it down, raise it up and bring it down. See.
What for?
I'll dry them pipe. Our bottom pipe would have a little 6-inch brass tubes in them. And you drive it down 4 feet, so then you pull your pipe out, then you take them tubes, see if
You got your soil sample.
just see if it changed, see, and see how many feet down it changed. We'd go down to this far as it would go,
Mm-hmm.
till we hit solid rock or granite rock,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we'd tell how many feet and we'd tell what kind of soil it was.
But then you didn't want to go move with them?
Well, I said, I told him, I said, well, I just can't hardly. I said, my oldest girl starts school this year. I said, this fall when school starts. And I said, I don't want just to be taking her in and out of school all the time. And they said, I forget how much a day they'd give me for the first 30 days, and then, on the job. And then how much it was for the next 60 or 90 days, beside my wages. They offered to buy me a trailer, a trailer house, first to live in. They'd pull it to me from job to job. And I said, no, my girl, I said she wouldn't get no education to be in one school, not the other. I said, I can't hardly do it. So they told me if I ever wanted a job for me to write them.
I'll write them, I'm ready to go.
About the same,
I'm fancy free.
Which that was back in 43. So then we went from there down to Redlands. And that's where you started in school, down at Redlands.
Islands.
What kind of work did you do there?
Well, I got a job down at the fumigating, And, I worked night and day down on the crew down there.
Oh, did we live in a nice house there?
Well, we first lived in the filling station till the nice house got empty. Then we moved in the nice house.
Did a Negro come to the filling station?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that. I can just barely remember that.
Well, you see, the signs was up about these soft drinks and everything. He didn't know what the filling station, was open for that kind of business. And he just took hold of the screen. Of course, I kept it locked and told Jim's to keep it locked. And he just took on hold of the screen, and of course it wouldn't come open. And I went to the door. He wanted to know what kind of drinks, we had. And I said, we don't have any. I said, we're just living here. And then he went on.
Well, how long did How long did you stay with that job?
Oh, I stayed at that job. I don't know what.
I don't know, but then we moved then from there then down Santa Paula, and he worked fumigating down there.
But I'd work as high as 22 hours a day on that job.
How come?
Well, I was running the crew as a mechanic, see, for all his tent pullers and things. They cover trees up with, fumigate them. And I was running 2 more crews, and so I was trying to do one crew too.
And that's when.
And so every night you'd have fumigate, see, and every daytime I'd work on the trucks and things to keep me going.
How did you get that job when you didn't work from this other one?
Huh?
How did you get that job? Like you'd been in Fresno, well, how did you get this job in Highlands?
Oh, I went to Redlands out there unemployment office.
Oh.
And Delores, while Ernest was in California, that first while Unions was little, I finally went to the welfare office and got some help.
Was that the time when you said like the milkman was waiting for the mail to come?
I forgot that. They told me, they said that, we can't, see, I had to borrow money from Bertha to even pay the rent, even if it was just 7.5. I didn't have it. Didn't have no money at all. And I was going to have to borrow the money from Bertha to pay for Hazel's doctor bill, if I'd had to take her to.
That special?
Yes. So anyway, I went to the welfare office, and the woman told me, it's Miss Sanger. She told me, she said, says, we can't pay your rent, but she said we can give you more commodities so you won't have to buy groceries. So if he ever does send you any money then, why, you can take the money he sends you and pay you and buy your wood, and pay your rent. And, an author said, Ernest will be a long time gone this time. Said, he'll be long gone. Meaning, that he had left us.
Well, didn't Burry offer to help you, or didn't offer?
Burry wasn't here. Burry was out in California burying Minnie.
Oh, that's right. You went out with him. Well,
there wasn't nobody back here to help, only Bertha. And Bertha is the only one that helped me.
Didn't Arthur try to help you?
Oh, Roy Toy and Eddie would. Roy'd come home and get his hair cut.
Yeah, and Roy come and helped me put up the big stove. I had the long stove up, and I got a great big stick of wood hung in there, and I couldn't get it down in there, and I couldn't get it out, and it was just smoking the house up. So I made a walking trip over there to get Roy to come and help me get that big stove up.